Well, Cuba, just like Palestine, it faces really a big monster, and the U.S. Above it, just trying to encircle it. Cuba, of course, faces these embargoes and sanctions. It's just like the siege on Gaza, um, whether they face starvation, whether they face scarcity on certain items uh, for their basic living standards. Um, this is how the Cuban people can really relate to the Palestinians, their struggle for liberation. Um, well, not to mention that if we defeat this monster, the Israel, and abolish it, the Palestinians will be free. But as well, the United States, once that is completely, the system is eliminated, we have a socialist government. Um, then we see that the sanctions are over. That um, that these the policy of destabilization in Ecuador, Peru, Argentina, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Peru. Cuba, Haiti as well, and so forth. They can finally start in the process of rebuilding and having reparations paid to them, and reparations that are owed to them. I don't remember the numbers, and of course it's been updated. But the calculations were like a billion, more than a billion, tens of billions, just billions of dollars worth of GDP or such that Cuba could have made if these sanctions, these embargoes, were not placed on the island. But yeah, in today is actually in Nicaragua and Cuba Friendship Day. And so, talking about Nicaragua back there, of course, they also face the sanctions. They're about to be in place with new sanctions by these Republicans and Democrats in Congress. Yeah. They Nicaraguans, they also feel that the Palestinian struggle is so similar to theirs against the imperialists, the U.S. imperialists, when it came to the Sandinista revolution, when it came to the Iran Contra scandal, but also the CIA funded Contras in Nicaragua in the 80s, and this is actually the 40th year anniversary since Nicaragua took the U.S. to the International Court of Justice to put them on trial for that same transgression of having these terrorists, right-wing backed paramilitaries, death squads, actually, to to continue the work for the Somoza after Somoza left and the U.S. came to invade with their own Nicaraguan, but the CIA funded, armed, and trained Contras. So after 40 years, the U.S. never held up to the end of this their obligation to pay reparations to Nicaragua, and technically, in the Nicaraguan government at the time when there was ruled, or when a few years later, it was with the Chamorro government declaring that they don't have to pay reparations, even though it's unjust to do so, but the Chamorro government, since it's a neoliberal government back then in Nicaragua, they sided with the U.S. By saying that we can skip that.
Their argument was that because under the Chamorro government, because we're receiving so much monetary aid from the U.S. now, there is no need for the U.S. to repay us those reparations because the U.S. is helping us, with our infrastructure by giving us, all these military.
The USAID, huh?
USAID, yeah, the USAID.
I did see a USAID building in Bluefields. on the
Oh
east
man.
coast of Nicaragua. But yeah,
Oh
it was
man.
it's been 40 years since then. And look at where we are now with Nicaragua going back to the ICJ and taking Germany now. This is where Nicaragua can succeed in this field, just like in South Africa. South Africa being the other apartheid state besides the U.S. and the Israel and
Mhm.
Palestine. Um, so this is a historical responsibility to do so. Um, that's their strength here. Cuba has their own strength as well with their medical internationalism, uh, and Venezuela as well has their own. But um, and Nicaragua is such an important country that we have to keep keep an eye at. Um,
Yeah.
People keep neglecting their struggle of sanctions. When at this time the U.S. government is putting sanctions again onto Nicaragua just because they're going after Germany, just because they're going after these complicit genocidaires. Um, when it comes to Palestine, we cannot we cannot break our solidarity um, with them. Um, it's the same thing with the other countries, the Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And we keep mentioning the situation in the Middle East for